Let me start by agreeing with you, Steve, that Hodeidah for me was a distraction, as important as it was, for lots of reasons. Possible explosions there, entrance of humanitarian assistance. I think there was too much focus on Hodeidah at the expense of an overall ceasefire, at the expense of looking at the problem as a whole. There was an assumption there that if you start with Hodeidah, there could be an incremental effect. You move to other fronts and you quiet them the way you quieted Hodeidah. That was a mistaken assumption, as other fronts were more important to the fighters, to those on both sides, for different reasons. So I think much time was lost on Hodeidah. I agree on the big picture with Helen that Resolution 2216 is defective for many reasons, but primarily because it's based on an assumption which was not only outdated now, but it was wrong to begin with. The question of legitimacy and the question of treating a group like the Houthis with the strength that they represented and with the potential that they had right from the start, treating them as interlopers, as people you could just order to disarm and move out of Sana'a. It was a terribly mistaken assumption, regardless, again, not a question of right or wrong, not a question of whether the Houthis are good guys or bad guys, but simply realpolitik should have told the framers that that resolution would not work. Now, it also constrains the actions of the special envoy. I agree. If the special envoy has to use that as a guiding framework, I think it's a misstep right from the start for the new envoy. I agree also with Elizabeth's chapter in the book, which assesses the transition period as a missed opportunity. Ironically, from the several special envoys from the United Nations, Jamal bin Omar probably had the best vantage point to accomplish something. He had a lot of superpower backing. The Security Council, he had specific backing from the United States. There was a leverage that he could have used, but that he failed to use. And the overall focus on the dialogue, National Dialogue Conference, with all its 550 participants, missed the opportunity of having 4 or 5 or 6 people of the real power brokers do a handshake, have a handshake over what's to be done, what's to be accomplished, what kind of a Yemen could they agree to work towards before you get to the 550 working out a new constitution for Yemen. In the end, after all that hard work, there was still disagreement over the basic division of power in Yemen and over, 5 or 6 or 2 governorates that Yemen could be divided into. So I think there was an underappreciation of the power of the North and the South as 2 big forces that could disrupt any agreement in Sana'a, with the South wanting to secede and the North wanting to assert its power at that point. I think in some fashion, it hadn't quite developed in their minds how, but you needed to deal with that. before you go on to the nitty-gritty of constructing a new constitution. There was an opportunity missed there in terms of realpolitik to get those who can affect things on the ground to agree on what it is that they can work towards. And then you set them to work towards that. I think there was also an opportunity for the international community, for the US, for the UN, that missed word development between the carrot and the stick. There was a missed opportunity to think of the carrot approach. What could have been offered to Yemen as a whole at that point? Complete redevelopment of the country, the poorest country in the region. The humanitarian suffering that was beginning to show even at the start, and which has grown to humongous proportions now. I think that was a missed opportunity, and I'm afraid it might still be missed even now, 7 years later. There isn't enough thinking of, putting aside all the who did what to whom. What can we offer all Yemenis? How would the Houthis respond to a very positive, very generous approach, unified and not piecemeal assistance by different countries, unified by the international community to turn Yemen into a heaven, to turn it into a paradise with an example of what positive collaboration between the great powers and the regional powers, what it could accomplish in a country like Yemen.